kitchen. My name is Beverly, and I'm joined today with my sister Barbara and my brother Steve. On today's episode of Cooking with Love, we're going to be making you some appetizers since the holiday is nearing, and these are a few of our favorite appetizers to make.
The first one I'm going to be making is a stuffed bread. It's a sourdough bread stuffed with cheese, and we're going to bake it in the oven.
We're going to be doing breadsticks wrapped with bacon and dipped with brown sugar.
I'm also going to be doing a stuffed celery, an old family favorite. It's celery stuffed with cream cheese and maraschino cherries.
And I'm going to be doing a savory choux pastry that's with Parmesan cheese.
Last but not least, I'm going to be doing Buratta, and it's going to be over toasted Italian bread. There's going to be two different versions of it.
The common element in all these appetizers is that they're all very simple to make. You'll see as we demonstrate that they're very easy and very quick, and your family is really going to love them.
Let's get started.
Hi, my name is Barbara, and I'm going to show you how to make the sourdough bread with cheese in it. It's a very simple recipe. We've been making this many years. My sister-in-law gave me this recipe, and it's a family favorite for getting together for holidays, as an appetizer, or if you're going somewhere, something to bring. And all it calls for is some shredded cheese. Today I'm using some sharp cheddar cheese and Monterey Jack. You can use Swiss cheese, you can use Colby Jack cheese. Actually, when you mix them together, it's better that way. We have a sourdough bread that I'm going to cut. And I have mayonnaise, a little bit of minced onion. You can also use some fresh green onion, but today I'm just going to use a little minced onion, and I always add a little pepper. That's your choice, it's optional. So the first thing we're going to do is to cut our bread. We want to have a nice well in there. We remove all the inside. And this bread we're going to cut up and leave it in cubes for later so that we could dip the cheese with it. I always serve it with crackers also. And that looks good. All right, I'm going to mix the cheese. I'm going to just add a little bit of pepper to taste. Some minced onion. Again, you can use fresh green onion. And last, our mayonnaise. Alrighty, we're ready to put the cheese mixture into the bread bowl. Now this bread is a little bigger than what I used, so I had to add a little extra cheese and mayonnaise. But this is about the consistency that you want. And I just push it down, and that looks good, just like that. Our bread is ready to go in the oven. You cook it at 350 degrees, about a half hour or so, till it's nice and crispy on top. About halfway through, I like to check our bread to see how it's doing, and it's looking beautiful. What I like to do to make sure it gets cooked all the way through is just push the cheese back down into the bread to make sure the whole center is nice and hot at the end, and this will brown again. Now, if your oven isn't cooking as hot as you'd like it, you can certainly raise it a little. Every oven is different. And we'll check it again in a few minutes.
I'm going to be showing you another easy appetizer recipe. It's breadsticks with bacon and brown sugar. I have some breadsticks, I've halved my bacon, and I have light brown sugar. We're going to take our breadstick, wrap a piece of bacon around it, roll it in the brown sugar, and place it on our cookie sheet. Our breadsticks are ready to be put into the oven. It's preheated at 375. We're going to be cooking these until our bacon becomes crispy.
I'm going to be making this appetizer. It's stuffed celery with cream cheese and maraschino cherries. It's been a family favorite at the holidays for many, many years. We used about a half a jar of maraschino cherries. I chopped up some of the cherries and drained them to let them dry out a little bit. And celery and a package of cream cheese. The first thing is to mix your cream cheese until it's well blended. It has to be at room temperature. This is very soft. I remember coming home from school the day before Thanksgiving. We had half day, and I would make this. This was my job to make it for my mom, and we'd get it ready the day before. So I add the cherries. You can add a little of the cherry juice if you like, but one thing my mom always did is put a drop of red food coloring. You don't have to do that, but this will give it its pink color. I'm just, because I'd like to, for old time's sake, add one drop. You can add a little more if you need it, but it will start making it pink. Where this recipe first came from, I just recently found out from my aunt. We were talking about appetizers and old family recipes, and she said that my mom had made this, learning it from an aunt. My grandmother's sister had it for a shower, a wedding shower. There was celery stuffed with this cream cheese, so I think that's where my mother got it from. All right, this looks like it's ready to go. It's fully mixed. I did add one more drop of food coloring to give it this pink color. And then we just start stuffing the celery. And you may have a couple of lumps from the bigger cherry pieces, but that's fine. Then I usually go down one more time to smooth it out. And that's good.
I'm going to show you how to make the cheese puffs. The ingredients we need for the cheese puff is all-purpose flour, eggs, salt, some boiling water, butter, and grated Parmesan cheese. Now this recipe uses a choux pastry. Choux pastries are very, very common. It's a French pastry, and it's used to make things like cream puffs, profiteroles, eclairs, zeppoli, and it's also used to make savory treats, and today we're going to be using it to make a cheese puff. All right, in the saucepan, we're going to heat up the saucepan. We're going to add our water and bring it to a boil. We're going to add the salt. And our butter. I'm going to wait till the butter is all melted. Our butter has completely melted. We're going to add our flour. We add it all at once. And we're going to put the heat on low, and this gets cooked. and it's going to come together as a ball. Make sure there's no dry flour left, that it's all incorporated well. And the flour is cooked down. And you'll see that the bottom of the pot has a little bit of a sheen on it, and that means that it's ready. Now we're just going to let this cool for a few minutes, and then we're going to slowly add eggs one at a time. But we want to make sure this is cool, otherwise you're going to end up with scrambled eggs. Now we have our choux pastry, which has cooled. I'm going to put it into a bowl of a stand mixer. It makes it a lot easier for incorporating the eggs. And I use the flat blade. And we're going to turn it on low. I'm going to mix it another minute. You see there's still steam coming off of it, so it's still a little bit too warm. We want that cool. Now I'm going to be adding the eggs one at a time. And you want to make sure that they're mixed well after each egg addition. We want to beat this until the dough is nice and shiny, glossy. All right, I think that's good. We're going to add our cheese and mix it slowly. Get the cheese incorporated into the dough. All right, that's finished. Now we're going to place our cheese puffs 1 teaspoon at a time onto our parchment paper lined baking tray. All right, so you get about 4 dozen of the cheese puffs from this dough mix. And what we like to do is take a little bit of shredded Parmesan cheese and place it on top of each cheese puff, and just gives it a little extra flavor.
We're making 2 appetizers today using Buratta. Buratta is a type of fresh mozzarella with a soft cream center. It's a very good cheese to use in an appetizer recipe. You can find Buratta at Italian stores, or grocery stores do sell it now, so it's not hard to find. We're using one with fresh tomatoes, toasted bread with olive oil on it, and the Buratta on top. The other one, we're going to use an appetizer using the fig preserves. This is homemade from my brother Ambrose. Topping it with Buratta and some crushed pistachio nuts. The first step is to toast the bread. I'm using an Italian bread here. You can also use a French baguette and slice it. I like to put olive oil on the bread when we toast it. We're ready to put our bread into the oven to toast. We're going to put it under the broil for a few minutes. We're going to assemble the fig with the Buratta. I'm going to spread some of this homemade jam on each piece of bread first. We're going to take a piece of our Buratta and we place it over the top. It's a very soft cheese. It's very, very creamy. We're going to sprinkle a few of our crushed pistachios on top, and we're good to go. Our second version of the Buratta appetizer is going to be with tomato. Fresh tomatoes are always best if you can get them. Native tomatoes are delicious on this. So first we're going to put the Buratta on top of each bread. I can just do this. We're going to place the fresh tomato on top. We're going to drizzle a little olive oil over each one and a little salt and pepper. Brings out the flavor of the tomato. If you have fresh basil, you can also add that to the top. And on some of them, I'm going to add some fresh balsamic vinegar.
Should be thick.
Okay. All right.
Our appetizers are finished, and it's time for the taste test. We have the cheese puffs that I made. We have the celery with cream cheese and maraschino cherry that Barbara made. We have the breadsticks wrapped in bacon and brown sugar that Beverly made. And then we have the two types of burrata, one with fig and pistachio, and the other one with tomato and balsamic vinegar that Barbara made. We also have the cheese bread, the sourdough cheese bread that Barbara put together. And she took all the pieces that she cut out of the center, and we use that kind of to hold the cheese. And just place a little bit on your piece of bread, nice and stringy. It looks delicious.
One thing about the sourdough bread today, it's a little bit bigger. We found one a little bit bigger, so it took a little bit longer to cook. So don't be afraid if it takes longer. This was baked almost an hour. So it goes anywhere from a half hour up to an hour.
Everything looks delicious.
Well, we'll dig in.
Let's dig in.
The one common element with all these appetizers is that they're incredibly easy to make. You saw from our demonstration, and they're also very delicious. We typically make them for all the holidays. You'll see this at Thanksgiving, at Christmas, New Year's, birthday parties, or get-togethers. Our family really enjoys these type of appetizers.
So enjoy and thank you.
All right, here we go. Appetizers cooked with love.
We're doing two different versions of burrata. Start again.
We take one breadstick.
I'm going to be showing you how to make the cheese puffs. All right.